Hello and welcome to That Man. This is another collection thing, and today we are looking at my light novel collection. Now, everybody who knows me that I like light novels as much as I love manga, sometimes a little bit more so, and my light novel collection has become, well, let's say, threatening. Now, this is my physical light novel collection. This is not my digital one, because my digital one is probably enough for a video all on its own. Light novels are basically, for me, I pick some up physically and some digitally. At the moment, anything new I'm basically picking up digitally because I've run out of space and I can't afford to have another 10 volume light novel series that I'm probably never going to read sitting on my shelves. But yes, for now, let's have a look at my light novel collection. First up is That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. I've got volumes 1 to 6 of this. I believe volume 7's just came out. I always feel like I'm massively behind on this one. I absolutely adore it. It's an absolute hilarious, it's really fun, really in-depth, and to be honest, it was one of those ones that really got me into reading light novels. There's nothing particularly special about it, to be honest. It's just a story that you can sit down, enjoy and have a lot of good time with. The main character starts off this whole reincarnated as a monster kind of subgenre of Isekai, but it's a nice way of doing it. The personal things that I love about this one the most is when they do the they build up the city and stuff like that. I absolutely love it when they do that, and that's the most interesting part. I can take or leave the fighting and stuff like that, but the city building stuff, I can't get enough of that, and that is relevant when I pick up like titles such as what was it called? How a Realist Hero Rebuilds a Kingdom. I read volumes 1 and 2 of that, and honestly I loved it. But this one again is an absolute fantastic title that if you're just getting into Isekai, it's one that you might enjoy more than some of the others. Next up is the Saga of Tanya the Evil. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I love this series, but there's a bit of an issue with it, is that it takes me forever and a day to get through one volume. I absolutely love the series and it's always a really great read, but it's one of those ones that you've got to be in the right mood to read it, because it reads more like war memoirs, rather than just being a whole kind of isekai thing. A young man is thrown in front of a train. He manages to annoy God, and God puts him into the body of a young child in the middle of an alternate World War One. That's right, World War One, not 2. Tanya is not a Nazi. But honestly, it's an absolute great series to read. You've just got to be in the right mood for it. I've only read volumes 1 to 4. So far. Volume 5 and Volume 6 have sat on my shelf in shame for a long time. I might get some time to read it. I promised myself I won't buy Volume 7 onwards though until I have caught up with it. I feel like I can do it that much justice. Next up is Penguin Highway by Tomohiko Moriyumi. I've not read this one. I enjoyed the movie a few years ago when I watched it at Scotland Loves Anime. However, I've never really had the chance to read it. I picked it up because honestly, her other title, The Night is Short, Walk On Girl, is one of my favourite titles of this year, and I kind of felt, I was like, well, it looks nice, they'll look nice together on the shelf. Penguin Highway is just one of those unfortunate ones that I picked up and it's just fallen by the wayside. It's a standalone thing, so I can read it almost at any time. I just feel like it's going to be quite a bit of an investment in order to do so. Nothing against it, it's just I just haven't had the chance. Tomohiko Moriyumi's other title, The Night is Short, Walk On Girl, is one of my favourite titles, in fact probably of all time. I absolutely loved the animated movie a few years ago when it came out, and whenever this one pops up in my timeline, I'm always reminded about what a good story it was. An absolute fantastic read. That was it was quite a bit different from the movie as well. If you've already seen that, I would definitely recommend checking this one out, because it does change things up quite a bit and makes things a little bit more interesting as it goes on. Definitely one that I would recommend picking up at some point if you enjoyed that movie. Next up is Magical Girl Raisin Project, another title that I have not read. I picked it up for like £2 and it's sat on my shelf ever since. I will get round to it someday, it's just, at this point, I don't know when. This is a new one that I just picked up not long ago, and this is Decapitation Kubikiri Cycle, The Blue Savant and the Nonsense User. It's another Nisioin, I would call it Nisioin, that's wrong, Nisioisin. I only read Kizumonogatari and Bakemonogatari, but this one is part of a new thing that I'm going to try and do over the next few weeks and next few months, is to try and read every top rated My Anime List light novel, because why not? It's a fun thing I want to do. After that we have Full Metal Panic. Now this was the first light novel I picked up. These are the original Tokyo Pop releases. And yeah, as you can see, that they haven't been well kept together. The reason being is that the way I got this was because one of my friends was selling them. This was their collection. They had to buy them like pre-owned from years ago, and they'd sat on their windowsill for years. I think I paid about 40 or 50 quid for the set, which I felt at the time it was quite expensive, but I'm not gonna lie, I don't regret paying it. I absolutely adore Full Metal Panic, and it was the series that got me into anime as a whole medium. And so I can't complain about picking up these. I know that they are getting a re-release. I think volume 1 to 3. So I think already G Novel Club's actually further than what I am in terms of this. So I am going to also pick up the hardback editions of them when they eventually come out, because yes, I need to do so. Absolute fantastic series, and personally one that is relying a lot on nostalgia. Next up is Monster Girl Encyclopedia Volume 1 and Volume 2. I wasn't sure whether to include this because they are essentially an encyclopedia. I'm not going to open them. There's a lot of visual aspects to this. Essentially, I kind of picked it more as a light novel because it works. There's a lot of stuff that you need to read when it comes to it. It's just monster girls and how they have sex. Yeah. How many people bought this one because it's Nier? I absolutely adore Nier. It's one of my favourite series of all time, and I've not read this one. Yeah, I don't know why. I've only picked up the first half of it, and this was actually on the end of the binge of playing the Nier games. I picked it up because I loved it, and I don't know why, I just never really got the chance to sit down and read it. I probably should, because I love the series so much, but I don't know why. I went in my closet and I kind of went to the back of the closet, and yeah, I just never really had a chance to read it any further. Monogatari is one of those series that I started reading when light novels first started coming out. There was actually a time period where we weren't getting a huge influx of light novels. Like now I'd probably get about 3 or 4 volumes per month. There was a time when you wouldn't get a huge amount. You'd just get ones here and there, and Kizumonogatari was one that I picked up. I'd always heard a lot of great things about it, and I just wanted to start off where the series started. And this is an absolute fantastic one that I loved all the way through. I loved all of the characters, I loved the way it was set out, and I just loved every last bit of it. However, when it came to Bakemonogatari, I got pretty bored about halfway through. I don't know what it was. I felt it wasn't quite as clear as Kizumonogatari was, but I don't know what it was. It was just one of those ones where I was just like, I really wanted to enjoy it, but I was reading it and I was just like, I think volume 2 was what got me. Was that volume 2 took me absolute ages to get through, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember a single thing. I remember this snail girl. I don't remember, was she a ghost or something? It was all very long and complicated. See, Monogatari kind of worked because it was all a self-contained story. However, these are multiple short stories that take place on the same world. And for me, I think the biggest issue was that I was new to reading light novels, and I didn't have that whole visual aspect to it. I find it very difficult when people have difficult, like, Japanese names, and I don't have that visual style to it. Therefore, I kind of give up after volume. I've not even read volume 3. Naughty me. I am going to give it another chance though, because I feel it is worth that. At least that, anyway. I might start again with Monogatari because it's been a while. It's probably been about 3 or 4 years. And then I might go on to these 3. At the moment, they're not really a priority. But if you guys want me to read them and cover them, please let me know in the comments, and I will try and... gonna lie, I haven't read this one either. This one I picked up on because I wanted to have a book to read while I was on the aeroplane in Japan. And the reason being was because I wasn't sure if something would, for example, something happened or whatever. I just want this as a backup emergency kind of thing. I stuck it in my backpack. And just in case something happened and my suitcase got missing or something like that. I was too tired to even read anything, and ever since then it's kind of ended up on my shelf. I know I'm gonna love it. It's one of these ones where it's been constantly rated high, but yeah, I just haven't had a chance to read it. If there's a series that I've talked about at great length, it must be this one, because I have spoken about this one a good amount of times. Do You Love Your Mom and a 2-hit multi-target attacks? Yeah, it's a mom-com. Yeah, that's what they're using for it, in which the mother ends up being dragged along with the son into a new world. It's an isekai. It's actually a trapped in another game kind of one, except they go willingly. She's overpowered and she's very overbearing, and she absolutely loves her son that much that she's basically smothering him. Yeah, it's hilarious. I'm not going to lie, I really enjoyed it. It's not going to be for everybody, but it's one that I personally had a lot of enjoyment come out of. And I would recommend, if you like your ecchi titles, I would recommend picking this one up because you might enjoy it more than you think. It's got a really good world building aspect. In fact, this is probably superior to maybe like stuff like The Slime and a few others in terms of the world that they've crafted in it. It is that good. I'm not gonna lie, this is a title that a lot of people recommended for me. Defeating the Demon Lord is a cinch if you've got a ringer, and it does do a lot of interesting things. However, I haven't read Volume 2, and I feel bad because I picked up Volume 1 over a year ago, and the thing that put me off is that I think it kind of got cancelled. I've only seen volumes 1 to 4, and I haven't seen anything further. In fact, G Novel Club actually did a further title with Bob, and I think that's ended too. I think there's only a short amount of this, and what I read was absolutely fantastic. Think Konosuba, where all of the main characters are useless except for the priest, who is actually stupidly overpowered, and he's got to ensure that everything kind of works out well. The one problem, however, is that he gets kicked out of his party very quickly, and he's still having to oversee this whole charade of them having to try and defeat the Demon Lord. There was a lot of really great twists in this one, and I would really recommend it if you guys want something that is not getting a huge amount of love but is worth reading. It's one that I feel like went under everyone's radar, but again it got cancelled, so I'm not sure if there's a reason later on why it kind of stopped. I think it was just one where people just nobody wanted to read it. The artwork, look at the artwork on this though, it looks absolutely fantastic, and it does stand out on the shelf. It's not quite as clear, but it's just, I think this is the problem. It's one of those ones where it kind of like, it looks like another fantasy and it doesn't stand out, but there's a lot of great content in here which you will enjoy if you do like your isekai titles. Next up is Combatants Will Be Dispatched. This is by the same creator as Konosuba. Yes, so we already know that it's got a decent pedigree coming into this. It's one that I wasn't sure about. I wasn't sure how they could, whether or not lightning would strike twice, should we say. But I'm safe to say that it actually did. A lot of stuff that came into Konosuba was originally crafted in this one, and honestly, it's absolutely hilarious. Think Konosuba, except all of the characters are super villains, so all of the horrible stuff they do is somewhat more justified because they get super villain points. I'm not going to spoil it, but I would definitely recommend it if you like Konosuba. Definitely recommend it. Here we have my current read along, and that is Toradora. This one is it's a classic anime now. It's one that has been going on for quite some time, and honestly, I can't fault it. It's one that I've really enjoyed reading. The palm top tiger and the guy with eyes like a delinquent. I love the whole nature between them, and honestly, it's a nice, relaxing slice of life comedy that mixes up. Because I mean, like I said, a lot of this stuff is going to be isekai, and there's a lot of isekai stuff still to come. But this one really surprised me because I don't know. I just feel like maybe I needed a break from isekai stuff, but this one really surprised me at how good it was. It was one that I really enjoyed, and I think a lot of you guys will do too. Next up is a title that I haven't read. This is Time of Eve, Another Act. The reason I got this was because Anime Limited were doing a sale. It was Time and Eve plus Time and Eve, Another Act, the light novel, in a bundle. I think it was only like £2 or £3 more than it would be just for the manga by itself, the movie by itself. So I thought I'd take a gamble and I'd read it. I never read it. I only watched the movie. The movie's considered an underrated classic, I would say, but yeah, I just haven't had the chance to read it yet, so hopefully very soon. Next up we have I've Been Killing Slimes for 300 years and maxed out my level. Volume 1 and Volume 2. For some reason I thought I got Volume 3 of this. This is a very comfortable series. It's an isekai about a young, potentially a girl, we don't know, reborn as a young girl, a witch, and you say, oh well, you're just not going to die, and they decide that they're going to kill a slime every day for 300 years just to make some pocket money. They end up super overpowered, and they just want to enjoy their nice relaxing life. However, people keep coming in, dragons pop in, slimes pop in, and she ends up with a family. It's so comfortable, it's so relaxing that I would definitely recommend it if you want a nice relaxing isekai, as opposed to the whole fight the demon lord. She does fight the demon lord, however, it's a nice little twist. I'm not going to spoil much of it, but definitely check this one out if you want something a little bit more relaxing than your normal isekai. Yeah, sometimes these isekai are just silly, and this is Reborn as a Vending Machine, I Now Wander the Dungeon. There's only 3 parts to this, which is an absolute huge shame because I thought this was going to be terrible. I was wrong. This one was a lot of fun, and it made me really realise how good vending machines are, especially in Japan. A man who absolutely loves vending machines is crushed by a vending machine, and he is reborn as a vending machine. Whenever he levels up, he manages to put his points into getting new skills or new vending machine features, so he can transform himself into different vending machines. He's trying to get himself out, and he befriends a young girl who is absolutely stupidly overpowered and strong. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. The protagonist was an immovable object, and the person who has to help him is a really strong girl who is really self-conscious. I absolutely loved this series. I really wish there was more of it. I think Volume 3 came out over a year ago now, so I'm kind of like, I want more, but I don't think that. I'm assuming it must have getting cancelled or something, but which is a huge shame. But it's one of those ones where people will read it and they'll dismiss it straight away as it's just being another stupid isekai. But don't do that. Try it out, and you'll probably will enjoy it. Next up, we have another standalone title, and that is Sound Euphonium. I've only picked up the one. I don't think they ever did more than Volume 1, which was a huge shame. It was a difficult read, however, I absolutely loved it. I think it covers nearly all of Season 1. In fact, it might have covered all of Season 1, and yeah, you can see how much extra stuff they put in Season 1. absolute fantastic read. Huge shame that it didn't sell well. In fact, I remember buying it, and I remember seeing it on sale a few weeks later for like half the price, and I was like, darn, oh well. But yeah, it's one that I would definitely recommend if you just want a nice standalone title. Pick this one up. It's an absolute fantastic. If you've never seen the anime, I would recommend the anime as well. It's personally in one of my, I think it might be my top 10 anime of the decade. Yeah, it's really, really worth reading. It's time to get reborn and start life in another world. That's correct. It's time we looked at ReZero. Now, this was the isekai that got me into buying light novels fully. I picked this one up, and I think I picked Overlord up. And honestly, I love this series so much. It's still a fantastic one, and it's one that I feel bad that I always forget about. The light novel is great. It's a lot different from the anime. The anime is very flashy, whereas this is a lot more of a different read. But it's still one that I would definitely recommend that you check out. If you're just getting into isekai, if you're just getting into light novels, I would recommend checking this one out, because it does manage to do a lot of great things that made it into the classic that it is. It's one that I think a lot of people will enjoy, and it's one that, well, it's getting a second season. It's obviously good enough to get a second season. Enough said. Also 2 extra chapters which focus on Ferris and Crush and Wilhelm van Astria. There's actually a third one. I didn't enjoy these as much. This one was really good, but this one I thought was quite boring, which is a shame, because Wilhelm is actually my favourite character except for Rem in the entire series. I don't know, I was quite bored with it. I didn't bother picking up volume 3, which popped out and I didn't even realise existed. But still, the first few volumes are still absolutely fantastic and well worth the read. Next up, we have the top rated light novel on my anime list, and that is Spice and Wolf. I've only got 3 volumes of this, and it's a volume 1, volume 2 and volume 8. The reason being, volume 2, I picked up volume 1 normally. I think I was just like, oh, I want to read Spice and Wolf. I really, really want to read it, and I want to read it. And then I enjoyed it, and I picked up volume 2, and then I saw volume 8 was there, and I was just like, this was like £2 or something like that. I was like, I'll buy it. I've not even read volume 2, or never mind anything in between, and now I'm kind of like, I want to read more of it, but then I'm kind of like, I might just pick it up digitally. It's a great series though. I would really recommend checking it out. It's one where it's like more of a fantasy, but it's more economics and serious stuff, but it's still worth reading, and I would definitely recommend checking it out at some point if you never had the chance to do so. Next up is that fantastic series, fantastic Konosuba, God's blessing on this wonderful world. Honestly, if you've never heard me talk about this one, you're probably new to the channel. Give it a subscribe and give it a like, because I talk about this series pretty much all of the time. I absolutely love it. It's so funny, it's so nice. It's, well, nice, they're horrible people, but it's one where you can just sit back and laugh your head off so much at it. These are horrible people being horrible to each other, but it just so works. Have what I'm going to call the next big thing in isekai, and that is So I'm a Spider, So What? I've been on this train for a few years now, and honestly, it is really, really good. Name the slime isekai, where the slime was reborn as an overpowered monster. Yeah, this is kind of the same. A girl and her class are wiped out in a freak explosion, and she finds herself reborn in another world as a spider. She is born as a very, very incredibly weak type of spider, and she is at the bottom of a food chain. That's right. However, what makes this series so good is that, well, there's a lot of nice twists on it. One of them is that the entire school is reborn into another world. So we do see people popping up, disappearing all across the thing. One's reborn as a hero, for example. one's reborn as a spider. I'm not going to see the others because, yeah, it's a little bit of a spoiler, but like I said, at the very beginning we find out the entire class is reborn, and yeah, it's a wild ride. What starts off as a very weak spider soon becomes the most powerful being and known as the Calamity. Yeah, so it's one that I would definitely recommend checking out before. I mean, the anime I thought was supposed to be this year, but they keep dragging the anime out. I hope that's a good thing because, yeah, it's something that's definitely going to be massive once it comes out. Finally, I want to talk about Overlord. That's right. This is an absolute terrific series. I'm not going to pick all of them out because they'll all be locked. Well, I say locked away. They're all in the glass cabinet. I'm not going to pick all of them out because they're all locked away in the glass cabinet, because the books, like, this type is absolute fantastic. This tells the story of a man who is reborn as the final boss, and he decides he's going to conquer the world. That's correct. Yeah, it's one of those ones that I think everybody knows. It's part of the Isekai quartet along with ReZero, Konosuba and Tanya the Evil. But it's one that I would just so recommend so many times. Check it out, check it out, check it out. And that's it for me. This was my light novel collection. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did enjoy it and you need some suggestions on new light novel titles, have a read up there and there'll be a nice little link up there for it. And if you did enjoy this, please leave a like, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.